Greetings of peace and blessings to all of our guests here. Before we actually begin the program, or the beginning of the program, what I would like to do is, as is part of our tradition, of the Muslim tradition here, we're going to start off with some verses of the Quran being read by one of our students, Ibraheem from the class of 17. Sorry about that, Ibraheem Naqib.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم ولا نساء من نساء عسى أن يكن خيرا منهن ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب بئس الاسم الفسوق بعد الإيمان ومن لم يتب فأولئك هم الظالمون يا أيها الذين آمنوا اجتنبوا كثيرا من الظن إن بعض الظن إثم ولا تجسسوا ولا يغتب بعضكم بعضا أيحب أحدكم أن يأكل لحم أخيه ميتا فكرهتموه واتقوا الله إن الله تواب رحيم يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير صدق الله العظيم. O you who believe, let not one people deride another. It may be that they are better than them. Nor let women deride other women. It may be that they are better than them. And do not defame yourselves or insult one another with nicknames. How evil is the iniquitous name after having believed. And whosoever does not repent, they are the wrongdoers. O you who believe, shun much conjecture. Indeed, some conjecture is a sin. And do not spy upon one another, nor backbite one another. Would any of you desire to eat the dead flesh of his brother? You would abhor it. And reverence God. Truly God is relenting, merciful. O mankind, truly we created you from a male and a female, and we made you peoples and tribes that you may come to know one another. Surely the most noble of you before God are the most reverent of you.
So again, I would like to welcome everyone to this evening's program. I just want to share with you a bit of the itinerary here. So we'll have the opening remarks and then of myself, and then I'll ask Dr. Mahan Mirza, who's the Dean of Faculty at Zaytuna College, to come and share some remarks, and then begin the ceremony of the signing of the Covenant of Compassion. We'll hear a speech by a student, Yusuf Sayal, who really has worked quite diligently in seeing this through. And then we'll begin the showing of the film of many of Rabbi Yehuda and Imam Latif's work, followed by the evening prayer or the sunset prayer for the Muslim tradition. Please feel free to come and pray in your own tradition and in a way that is appropriate for you, or feel free to observe as we will pray, which is downstairs in the prayer hall there. And then that will take us into the open conversation with the Imam, Khalid Latif, and Rabbi Yehuda, and faculty member Ustaz Ali Ataie. And then we'll close with supplication. So that's our evening for tonight. I just want to share a few thoughts with you. I was looking back at some emails, and I had the young man, Yusuf Sayal, come into my office, which this conversation began back in October. And I can't tell you how many slots of my office hours have been filled up with conversation with this young man, and how many texts and emails and conversations, both in Berkeley and in other parts of the country, when we were both traveling to see that this is done. So I'm very proud of him and the commitment that he has shown and the strength that he has shown in this important work. And actually, when I began to think about it a bit more, it actually did not begin in October. It actually began last year when we were able to sponsor Yusuf on a program that was called If We Serve, which was an interfaith retreat that took place in Maryland with two other students from Zaytuna and students from around the country, both of Abrahamic faiths, of other traditions, and those that did not claim any faith at all. And just debriefing with Yusuf when he returned from that, and the reflection paper that he had written on that, he really seemed that he had changed, and his perception of what interfaith was and could be had changed. So I think that is really what were the seeds that have given fruit now to this evening that we will share with each other. I just want to make a quick reference here to one section here that Ibraheem so eloquently read here. In the verse in the Quran, it says, "Ya ayyuhan nas, inna khalaqnakum min dhakarin wa untha wa ja'alnakum shu'uban wa qaba'ila lita'arafu, inna akramakum 'indallahi atqakum." And this verse here that, as was mentioned, we have created you of male and female and made you into peoples and tribes so that you may know one another. And this idea of peoples and tribes indicates the manner in which differences in tribes, race, religion, ethnicity, and language, nationality, and religion can be sources through which human beings gain a deeper appreciation for the reality of the human condition. So it does not become the source of divisiveness, but rather it is something that enhances our time together. I cannot claim that these are my words. These are the words that are taken from the commentary, which is now known as the study Quran. So a portion of that is taken from that. And again, the idea is that we are greater than what we are seeing. Each one of us, the relationships that we have are much more nuanced, perhaps, and if we get to know each other at a deeper level, what I like to call at the level of the heart. And I'll just share with you in closing here that there is from our tradition, from a prophetic tradition that says that Inna Allah la yanzuru ila ajsamikum wa la إن الله لا ينظر إلى أجسامكم ولا صوركم بل ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم. That God does not look at your outward your bodies or your forms, or it's one narration is your clothing, nor your forms, but rather He looks at your hearts and your actions. And I think that this outward diversity that divides us is one of the greatest tests that we confront in our time together. So I pray that this humble effort is a means by which we can overcome this test, and it is something that we will carry beyond this evening, and God willing, it will remain with us and into our lineages for an existence that we all are hopeful for. With that, I would like to call Dr. Mahan Mirza, who is the Dean of Faculty at Zaytuna College.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be unto all of you. Thank you all so much for coming. I'd like to acknowledge Rabbi Yehuda, who's with us today, Imam Khalid Latif, Dr. Munir Jiwa, some of our faculty, Brother Dr. Qazi was here from Vegas, and many of our distinguished guests. Thank you so much for coming. You know, we get asked to do a lot of things, and usually what I do is I say, you know, can you find someone else? You look for a way out. But when Yusuf approached me with this, there was no hesitation. It's really a pleasure to be here. And I consider this to be a historic moment. We talk about going through many firsts here with this startup college, and being up on the hill with this community of faith or these interfaith communities and seminaries has been a very special arrival for us. And we're grateful for the way that we've been embraced. And we'd like to become full members of this family. You know, there was a time in history when Jews, Christians, and Muslims lived in harmony. And they studied from each other. They studied with each other. They sat together as fellow students and as teachers. And they enjoyed great libraries. They enjoyed fellowship. And they also enjoyed great weather. And what I'm talking about is not the past in Andalus or some other place, but what future generations will say about what we have right here today. This is not a dream that we dream about the past, and we don't realize what we have is right before our eyes. I'll give you one example. I was a few years ago at the Ibn Arabi conference at the Dominican School of Philosophy and Theology. And I was sitting underneath a tree. And we were out on a bench, and we had chairs all around. Sacred music was playing just about 5 doors down, and you could hear a faint hint of devotional, liturgical celebration. And Todd Lawson was speaking about the venture of Islam and Islamic history. And in the audience was Sister Marianne, Carl Ernst, William Chittick, and a number of our faculty and students. And I stopped listening to Professor Lawson, as mesmerizing as he is. And I was just looking around me. And I was saying, my God, you know, it's here. It's not somewhere else. It's not just in the books, but it's right here. And, you know, can we feel it? And I feel it, and I know many of you feel it. And tonight is special for that reason, because I hope we're all feeling it. And I want to say that I don't want this to look like some kind of aberration, an anomaly. I know that there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world, and we live in pockets and in bubbles, but we shouldn't look at what's happening here as something that is to remain isolated, but we should look at it as a hope for the future, and as an ideal to aspire to. And I would like to challenge especially the Muslims and the Muslim community that we celebrate what we have here today in the United States of America, where there is certainly a lot of craziness going on, but under the umbrella of this Constitution and this great nation. And is this an ideal that we wish to see all over the world? And would we like to see communities like this in the Muslim world? And what would that mean for us theologically? There's some introspection here that is required, and I think that it is in places, as Richard Bullitt says, a view from the edge. It is in this edge space where Muslim communities and religious communities find themselves in interaction with others that real creativity and energy develops, and then can transfer back into the center. And this is how the movement of intellectual history really takes place. One example, we can have many examples from the lives of the Prophet. And I know Yusuf is going to mention something of interfaith encounters. And there are some episodes that are very, very challenging for us that we have to think about. But one in particular is when the Christians of Najran came. And the circumstances of that encounter weren't the best for interfaith dialogue. But even in that situation, when they essentially agreed to disagree with the Prophet in and this is according to our own tradition, in present, they agreed to disagree, and they nonetheless shared sacred space. They shared sacred space, and they were invited to worship in the mosque of the city of Medina. And so my point here is that we can still have theological disagreement. And we can debate with each other. And we can also agree to disagree. And not all believe the same thing, but we can respect each other and respect each other's rights. And even share sacred space. These are very, very important lessons for us. And I hope that what we witness and celebrate here today with the covenant that will be signed will signify that spirit. I'm going to now call all of the signatories. There are students from different organizations, from some of the different seminaries, and also from Cal and Zaytuna, who will be signing on. So I'm going to take your names and say your bios, and then you can come up and have a seat. And then I'll invite Yusuf Sayal to say a few words, read the covenant, and then we'll have the signing. So, in alphabetical order, and by the way, there is more interest that we have received from beyond the names that I have right here with me, and so maybe we'll add to the signatures before it's formally published, and it would be nice to hang it on our wall and maybe on the various walls of the various institutions. Also, I'm calling in alphabetical order. We have this thing where we seem to do it with first name. So you hear people calling me Dr. Mahan, not Dr. Mirza. And that's just, I think it's a Muslim world thing that's just transferred into our institution. And so we have alphabetical by first name. The first is Asiya Sellars. She's a freshman of the class of 2019 at Zaytuna College. She enjoys dabbling in the arts, but especially loves dance and culinary art. Coming from a multiracial and multi-faith family of Baptists, Catholics, and Muslims, Asiya seeks to spread the joy of celebrating diversity wherever she goes. So Asiya, please come to the stage. Anna Costello is in her 4th year of undergraduate studies in environmental biology. She's a Catholic student who has helped lead and organize the Interfaith Action Initiative, which fosters dialogue and friendships between diverse religious and spiritual organizations on the UC Berkeley campus. In anticipation of her graduation this spring, she is looking forward to maintaining connections she has made through interfaith encounters. She is grateful for everyone she has met who has deepened her awe of the wisdom of our Creator. So, Anna Costello. Christopher McDonald, unfortunately he couldn't be here. Keep him in your prayers, but he has been in touch and he will definitely sign on. He is a Master of Theology student whose home school is currently the ABSW, American Baptist Seminary of the West. Chris, or Mac, if you know him, has a long history of interfaith dialogue, service to the homeless, and believes strongly in the direct love of neighbors without qualification. His roommate is a Muslim, and they live in harmony and dialogue. A serious Christian theologian, he neither wishes to subdue other rich traditions nor to be subsumed. He wishes simply to walk alongside in peace and true dialogue, and also to pitch in and serve the community together so we can prove peace to those watching from our example. So Chris McDonald, he can't be here, but we acknowledge him. Ellen Graves is a 3rd-year MDiv student at PLTS, Pacific Lutheran Theological Seminary, preparing for ordination as a Lutheran pastor. Originally from Texas, she has lived in the San Francisco Bay Area for the last 17 years and hopes to return to Texas and to take her experiences of interreligious dialogue at the GTU into her work as a pastor. She's graduating in 2017. Ellen Graves. Fiona Fleming is a senior, the class of 2016 at UC Berkeley, studying peace and conflict studies and Arabic. As a Catholic and a PAX major, she believes interfaith collaboration is critical to promoting sustainable peace and understanding. She's been involved with Cal's Interfaith Action Initiative, representing Catholics at Cal, as well as working on campus for the Berkeley Center for the Study of Religion, and is in constant wonder of the diverse beauty of our faith and religion. After graduating, she wishes to pursue an MA in conflict resolution and continue interfaith work wherever she may be. Fiona Fleming. Haroon Deen is a fourth-year student studying comparative literature at UC Berkeley. He is the educational coordinator of the Muslim Student Association this year. Haroon Deen. Kari Rott is a second-year student at Zaytuna College. She is also a graduate of the University of Missouri, Columbia, where she studied cultural geography. Kari was born to a Catholic father and a Protestant mother and raised attending religious school. As a teenager, she began exploring Buddhism, Islam, and other earth-based religions, eventually converting to Islam in her mid-20s. Her interests are diverse and include languages, power systems, and all things organic. Kari intends to pursue a career in chaplaincy and a lifetime of learning, God willing. Kari Rott. He is Umar Bairamolou, senior at Zaytuna College, and will, God willing, inshallah, be graduating this year. A white person, he was born Muslim. Though he is not part of any clubs, Umar has taken part in interfaith gatherings and events during his entire childhood and into his teens. His interests are cosmology and physics, as well as keeping up with relevant technology blogs. Umar Bairamolou. All right. Shannon Eizenga, is she here? Oh, wonderful. Shannon Eizenga is a second-year MDiv student graduating in 2017 at the Star King School for the Ministry, where she's a student representative on the board of trustees. She is interested in community ministry and is currently working on clinical pastoral education at a Bay Area hospital. She is passionate about interfaith engagement and loves all things animal and nature related. Shannon Eizenga. Now turning to Yusuf Sayal, and after I introduce him, I'm going to welcome him up to say a few words, read the covenant, and then have the signing. Yusuf Sayal is a junior at Zaytuna College. After spending some time learning Arabic in Damascus, Yusuf was forced to leave Syria during the Arab Spring. Identifying himself as a Muslim, his interests include mysticism, traveling, and socializing, and he believes that experiential knowledge and personal engagement is key to moral transformation. Inspired by the diverse colors, but unified core of the mango, Yusuf seeks to establish student-led interfaith work on Holy Hill, further pursuing an MA in comparative religion and translation someday. Please, a rousing welcome for Yusuf Sayal.
Before I begin, I wanted to just share a dream that I had a couple of months ago. And in that dream, I saw two significant people, two people that I look up to. The first was Sheikh Abdullah bin Baya, who is the teacher and personal guide to our founder, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf. The second, you all know, and so Sheikh Abdullah sits as the head of the Peace Forum. The second was Master Yoda from Star Wars. So if you watch Star Wars, you know that he sits as the master on the Jedi Council. I'm a little rusty with my Star Wars. I didn't watch the new movie yet. But that was really significant to me. They're symbolic individuals, hopefully promoting, definitely promoting justice and peace. And so for me, that's a sign of acceptance. Bismillah. In the name of God, the compassionate, the loving. Guests of honor, Rabbi Yehuda Sarna and Imam Khalid Latif, representatives of the GTU and UC Berkeley, and respected sisters and brothers from all forms of faith. On January 11th, 2015, I walked into a room of Jews and Christians, questioning my religious integrity as I surrounded myself with the quote-unquote other during a week-long interfaith service retreat called If We Serve. I asked myself, am I entering to convert or to be converted? Growing up in a conservative circle, I was taught to stick with my own, unless I was consciously converting people to Islam, as if everyone but Muslims was simply wrong. Within moments of interacting with fellow participants, I recognized that there was so much more to people than skin, a soul that transcended all form, multiplicity in unity, and unity in multiplicity. This realization actualized itself 3 nights later. Late one evening, after engaging in a long discussion on science and religion, my humanist roommate, who originally rejected metaphysics, turned to me and said, I recognize spirituality now because I realize how important it is to you. The Golden Rule states, love your neighbor as you love yourself, a central message of compassion to all of humanity. The alliance of virtue, a commitment to justice amongst the clans of Mecca, was a pact that acted upon this very principle. Responding to a Yemeni merchant who was cheated by a noble of Sahm, and Sahm was one of the tribes. Taking action, Abdullah ibn Jud'an, the chief of Taim, offered his house as an assembly point for Quraysh and its tribes to ensure the rights of the oppressed. Together, they agreed to stand as one voice, one body, one spirit, in the name of upholding universal peace against racial, ethnic, or religious discrimination. The Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, who witnessed this oath as a youth, said in after years, I was present in the house of Abdullah ibn Jud'an at so excellent a pact that I would not exchange my part in it for a herd of red camels, or like a bunch of Mercedes today. And if now in Islam I were summoned onto it, I would gladly respond. As such, the Prophet was teaching his companions to recognize the goodwill and humane nature that the children of Adam all share in common, multiplicity in unity and unity in multiplicity. Examining a concrete example, perhaps there is a parable in the mango, the fruit of lovers for those who reflect. Arguably, there is no fruit which is externally more colorful than a mango, combining shades of red, yellow, and green, let alone its variant types, and I invite you all to Pakistan someday. Within its diversely colored skin lies a gold-colored fruit, full in flavor and juicy by nature. Yet, the mango's secret is discovered in its core, its heart, the largest seed of any fruit, maintaining its intrinsic unity while embracing its extrinsic multiplicity, producing a sweetness that pulls to its nature. Call me a mango-holic, but if you fail to accept the allegory of the mango, then I defer you to Socrates, who when asked about unity in the world said, perhaps there is a pattern of it laid up in the heaven, for who wishes to contemplate it, and so beholding to constitute himself its citizen. Each of us internalizes a mango within. Don't forget that. Each of us internalizes a mango within, but seldom do we externalize the mango without. Let us seek to be like the mango, expanding our hearts to the complexion of others, multiplicity and unity in multiplicity. In fulfilling my promise to If We Serve, by initiating local interfaith activity and promoting the Golden Rule by contemplating the mango, I hope to relive the alliance of virtue by constituting the covenant of communal compassion, a symbolic document that signifies interfaith unity between the students of Hillagas and Holy Hill at the Graduate Theological Union, UC Berkeley, and Zaytuna College. It is our duty as aspiring leaders to inculcate the characteristics of stewardship on earth, establishing communal compassion towards our immediate surroundings, be it the land we walk on, the animals we neighbor, or the humans we interact with. We are the present, the future passed a moment ago. Today we are students, but tomorrow we are teachers, setting the example for generations to come. Before reading the text of the document, I would like to thank the individuals whose shoulders I stand on, beginning with my mother, who placed me on the path to seek truth. I am indebted to Bilal Ansari, the director of student life, who encouraged me to apply to If We Serve, the retreat facilitators, Chaplain Elia Vajid, Minister Hannah Leoin, and Rabbi Rachel Zeren, who worked through my frustrations when the Abrahamic faiths did not seem to align. The bonds that were created amongst my colleagues and I are experiences that cannot be described, but those relationships opened my eyes to an unknown world of diversity. Dawood Yasin, the coordinator of learning outside the classroom, who wholeheartedly supported my vision to proceed with this project the moment I approached his office last October. Ali Ataie, my thesis advisor, who taught me that true interfaith work is working through our differences and has inspired me to study comparative religion. Mahan Mirza, Dean of Faculty, who reviewed the covenant, and Ibraheem Qureshi, who is a freshman, for formatting the document. This evening would not be possible without my friends from the GTU, Cal, and Zaytuna, who believe that nonviolence, service, and noble character are the foundations of a healthy community. Lastly, I am grateful for your audience, for your attendance, an audience that has found its multiplicity in unity and unity in multiplicity in this sanctuary tonight. Before I read the covenant, I would like to ask any of my friends from the GTU or from Zaytuna or from Berkeley, if you would like, if you want to, I'm not going to force you. We don't force people. Islam means peace. So you're more than welcome to share a few words if you'd like. Is that a yes or a pass? Wa alaikum salam. Okay. Yeah, please.
Life comes in cycles, the earth comes in cycles, time comes in cycles. There's actually a book by Roger Penrose, British mathematician, The Cycles of Time. And, as people of religion or without religion, even just of, any type of moral that you want to base your idea and your thinking on, naturally, throughout history, there has always been some type of unity, cohesion that had kept people together. And as all the craziness that's happening with, Kalamazoo, what happened in San Bernardino, what happened in Fort Wayne, Indiana, what's happening in Oakland, what's happening in cities across the world, now is the time to come together. We have the young, we have the old, we have the babies, we have, our grandmothers, our grandfathers, our fathers, our mothers, our teachers, our brothers, our sisters. And, alhamdulillah, thank God that somebody had done it. Somebody stepped up to the plate and they knocked it out the park. So, may God bless, may God reward Yusuf, for what he's doing, that this can flower and fruit, and, this can flower and grow into something very beautiful. That glimmer of hope, that shining light. Yeah, thank you.
How valuable it is to be able to spend time with people who know their own faith, which may be different from the way I understand it. And I believe that is a gift of God, that we had this time together. And I hope that this covenant of compassion will be a symbol, a sign for all that we can change this country and that we can change this world. And I pray that that will be the case.
As a fourth year, I've been involved with this interfaith work on UC's Berkeley's campus now for all 4 years. And I find myself in a time of a transition, which is joyful and also very mysterious at the same time. And thinking back on my time at Berkeley, the encounters and the events and the gatherings and the conversation and the friendships that have developed from working with Interfaith have been extremely memorable and extremely moving to me. But I also want to share that it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of effort, and sometimes just in walking here, I was recalling how my freshman year, I was looking at people who were gathered of different faiths and traditions, and they were like, oh, we don't know if we can make it happen. And I was like, why? This is so wonderful what we have here. Why wouldn't we make this happen all the time? And now as I walk here, I realize that I have lost my energy and my oomph and my continuing on for Interfaith a little bit in the last 4 years. Haven't done so much in this last semester. So I guess that being a lesson of renewal, of maybe cycling back again, and also an invitation to all of you to continue, because this isn't a 4-year commitment, isn't just for the short times that we are here, maybe in the same physical space, but really a lifelong and, as I believe, a very whole spiritual journey together. So thank you for being here, and continue on. Blessings.
Now, I present the Covenant of Communal Compassion, which reads, Today, the 3rd of March, 2016, marks the rise of a new dawn on Holy Hill, an ecumenical consortium of faith-based institutions uniting students of the Graduate Theological Union, UC Berkeley, and Zaytuna College to stand together for universal peace. We, the signatories, believe that communal compassion is created by conscious, cooperative efforts that seek to counter the chaotic actions of some, not through violence, but by coming to a common word, multiplicity and unity and multiplicity. As citizens of this country, inhabitants of the earth, and vicegerents of the universe, we are committed to creating a culture of communal compassion within our spheres of influence, confident that our sincere endeavors will permeate generations to come, God willing. Thank you.
They're now going to sign. Asiya Sellars. Ellen Graves. Umar Bairamolou. Anna Costello. The names have all been scrambled. The seats have all been scrambled, and so I'm going to just read out the names. Kari Rott, Yusuf Sayal, Asiya Sellars, Umar Bairamolou, Fiona Fleming, Anna Costello, Haroon Deen, Christopher MacDonald, Ellen Graves, and Shannon Eizenga. I was waiting for it to get to you.
It's a great occasion to see a student like Yusuf, who came here 4 years ago as a true freshman, 18 years old or so, and to see his maturation and the maturation of many of his classmates, and to see him inspired by one of the activities that he was involved in here at the college, and then take the initiative to really revive that tradition of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, peace and blessings of Almighty God upon him, to work towards peace. And if ever there were a time where we need people dedicated to work for peace, that time is, I wouldn't say now, that time was yesterday. And so this is something that's long overdue. We have many insightful people, military experts, Albert Einstein and others, mentioning how the world changed on the day that the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. And now that bomb is minuscule in terms of the damage that our current hydrogen bombs can do. That fusion bomb is or fission, compared to the fusion bombs they have now, is nothing. And then we have literally tens of thousands of these things scattered around the world. And unless we as a human family can come together, and who better to bring us together than the religious communities, because broader morality and ethics, societal-wide morality and ethics, though that's always been something that religion has fostered. No other force has fostered that. And so if we as people of religion cannot take the lead in that regard, and working for a world where we recognize the dangers of continued, indiscriminate, preemptive, even defensive warfare, when you're using nuclear bombs, when you're using biological weapons that once they're loosed into the environment, we don't know what the consequences will be. So if ever there were a time to work for peace, that time would be now. If ever there were a time for religious communities to step up and take the lead, that time is now. If ever there were a place for that to start, that place is here. What better place than the Graduate Theological Union, than a location that brings together so many religious communities in a harmonious, peaceful environment. That place is here, that time is now, and the people, the architects of such a development are us. So we pray that this humble initiative, that it serves as a seed that brings forth a great tree whose fruit will be enjoyed by people all over this earth. So we thank you again for coming out. Let's give another rousing round of applause for this wonderful, wonderful panel.